very fragile, and one bad punch can send you to the doctor. You can avoid this by simply wrapping your hands and getting good gloves. You can easily break your hand and have issues for the rest of your life or for the rest of a few years of your training. And if you're doing MMA or boxing, it's really important to wrap your hands in both of those. It's really not that hard. It may seem annoying to have to do every single time at first, but you'll get used to it. And you're not gonna regret it in the long run because you can have just a lot of issues in the future, like carpal tunnel and stuff like that. And even if you aren't a fighter, you can still wrap your hands if you want to get a heavy bag, which is a great strength and cardio exercise. I enjoy MMA as a sport. I think it's the most entertaining sport of all time. I've also been wrapping my hands for a while now. And today I'll tell you a little bit about the sport of MMA and how to wrap your hands. I'll start off by explaining MMA. It may seem simple, but it has a lot of rules you may not know. UFC got popular in the 90s, and so did MMA altogether, but it was very unprofessional. There were no weight classes. You didn't need to wrap your hands, and you didn't need gloves either, so you would see a lot of hand injuries. People would go out and break their hand pretty much on the first punch, and you'd have to fight 3 more times that night because it was a tournament style. Rounds are 5 minutes each, and you get 3 rounds, 5 rounds for a championship fight. You can win by knockout, submission, or a decision. Usually cages are about 30 feet wide, and UFC uses an octagon-shaped cage. I'll tell you a little bit about all these things right here. They're all pretty common for MMA. These right here are MMA hybrid style gloves where they have a good firm padding, good wrist support. These are Japanese MMA style kind of wraps. They're stretchy and they're really long. These are Mexican style wraps. They are a little shorter and they're slightly stretchy. And these are 16-ounce sparring gloves, so they're heavy enough. Typically the heaviest you'll see is 16 ounce. It'll slow down the punches and it's a lot safer, and these are really soft. So these are some of the softest gloves you can get for a good price too. The Mexican style wraps are probably the most common you'll see. These are a little bit more rare. People don't use these as much. I like these just because of how much support you can get. They're really wide, so you can get really good wrist support on them. And these are pretty much only for sparring. These are so soft that you can hurt your hands using these. And now I'll show you how to actually wrap your hands, and I'll start off showing you the MMA wrapping style. This is the more simple one. So you'll start with the thumb loop, and you'll start with this side down towards your skin. So that's where the stitching is. And I like to wrap my wrist a little more than other people. You can just go around a few times. And you want to keep your hand out like this when you're wrapping. Just go around your wrist a few times. Then I'll go up around like this. Go around my knuckles a few times. Kind of paint your knuckles, go vary back and forth a few times. Then I'll go over, back, down again. I'll go over my thumb, because in my experience, there's a lot of injuries that come from the thumb hyperextending, and you can go around that a few times. Now I will go back over the wrist. I'll be going in between my pinky finger and ring finger. And after that, you close your hand. So it'll get too tight if you don't do this. So you want to make sure to grab it. Then in between these fingers, close your hand again. And these fingers. And close it again. And then here you can go around your thumb a 3rd time. Now basically, we'll go through all those fingers over again. And then we're going to go back this way. Now let's go over the wrist a few more times. With the remaining. And it'll vary how many layers you have to do for each thing, depending on how big your hand is. And then you get the Velcro, and you turn the Velcro around. And it's comfortable, it's not too tight. When you tighten your hand, it tightens up and it becomes more of a solid fist. And for these, they're pretty tight on these. It's not like I got these a little too small, but it still works. You just put it on. You're gonna have to move this part around a little bit. After you get that on, it's nice and straight. There's not too much movement, but there's just enough movement where you can move your hands where you need to. That's a lot safer. Now I'll go on to the Mexican style hand wrapping. This one's a little bit more complicated. You go around your pointer finger, and this one actually says this side down, so it's a little easier. And you just go around the knuckles a few times, just a little bit. And then you will actually just take it off. And I'm gonna use a table. This is kind of annoying to do sometimes. You go around, you put it over your hand. You want it tight. Now you're gonna go around your hand like this. You can go around your wrist a few times too. Now we'll go around the fingers like we did before. And we'll close our hands when we do it. And then we'll go in between these fingers. Close our hands again. This one's already feeling a lot tighter, because it will in the knuckles. And then we'll go around pointer finger, closing our hands again. And then on the thumb, you can go around the wrist a few times. This one has a lot more knuckle support. It's not too much where you can still open your hands to parry and you still have a lot of movement. That's how you would do Mexican style. And now you're ready to go train or hit a heavy bag. And I got to tell you guys a little bit about MMA and how to wrap your hands. I think MMA is really fun and anybody can do it. Don't be scared to go try it. And thanks for listening to my speech.